The town of Kupiansk, which was surrendered without a single shot being fired, was one of the first Ukrainian lands to face Russian occupation. Under the guise of Moscow's Russification strategy, the divided city was further fragmented. Among the Ukrainian cities occupied by Russia, Kupiansk stood out. The town's mayor, Hennady Matsahora, told his citizens he was doing this to prevent human sacrifice and destruction of our infrastructure. On pro-Russian telegram channels, the seemingly non-violent transfer of power was seen as a symbol of Moscow's intentions towards Ukraine. Kupiansk was to be the bastion of Russia's cultural and political revival, or so the messages were. But for Russia's efforts to eradicate Ukrainian heritage in earnest to begin, Russian forces had to deal with resistance they encountered after capitulation. It is not confrontation partisans against occupier, but rather a demonstration by locals led Mykola Mazly, local opposition leader and veteran of 2014 conflict in eastern Ukraine. Local Ukrainian opposition leader Mykola Mazly speaks to protesters days after the surrender of Kupiansk to Russian forces. This disappeared a few minutes after it was taken. His whereabouts remain a mystery. Bohdan Cheremsky resistor fails. Mazly acted quickly. Within days of the invasion, he attempted organize armed resistance, but failed to gather enough troops and equipment meet the Russian advance. Mazly turned to staging a big show, using local chat groups to spread the message. And it was successful. On sixth-day occupation Russia, he managed to gather about 300 people on Central Square City, in front town hall, where mayor announced surrender Kupiansk. Mazly addressed the crowd in the S obtained by DW. They thought they were going to exercise, but they had to come here instead. Their motivation was broken. The demonstrators were not greeted by the soldiers who wanted to return to their homes. Instead, Russian troops fired tear gas into the protesting crowd, and in the confusion Mazly disappeared. The protests subsided, and with it, the resistance went underground, liquidating the native Svitlana, a public office clerk who remains anonymous for fear of the return of Russian forces. Said boss had instructed her and colleagues to use Russian as their working language, and from now on they will officially work for Russia. When she threatened to quit her job, her boss threatened her, "It's not going to go well for you." A few days later he was arrested and taken to a basement where he was interrogated and tortured. But Svitlana was not alone. Before long, the town's detention facilities became overcrowded, including improvised cells in the basements of official buildings. Svitlana and other prisoners recalled being beaten and electrocuted frequently during interrogations. When occupiers entered a settlement, they first searched for their headquarters, detention facilities and buildings that could serve as torture chambers. Said Carr,